As you can see, I'm all gray-haired and ancient, and I'm 74 years old. So in one way, I've been writing for a long time. I guess the question is writing what? I've been an academic with Sydney Uni, and before that, as you can see, I'm from the subcontinent, so I'm from Sri Lanka. So I've been writing for a long time as an academic. But when I was close to retirement, I sort of thought, what am I going to do in retirement? So I thought, let me just go and see whether I can attend a few classes in creative writing. So I went to the Sydney Writers Centre and I attended just two sessions. And I thought, oh, this looks like fun. And my first go at creative writing, this was 2012, was a disaster because I presented it to the group and I could see everyone thinking, we are supposed to give positive feedback and we can't think of anything positive. So to just say in short, in terms of creative writing, I would say like from 2012 or 2013. So that's not very long. But if you say academic writing, I've been doing it for a long time. This is a very interesting question. When I think of creative writing, writing my novels, I draw inspiration from my own life. Now, when you get to the stage and age at which I am, I have just so much of life experience to draw on. I was born in the tea plantation of Sri Lanka and then went to medical school there and did postgraduate study in Hawaii and then have lived in Australia for 32 years. And my favorite place in Australia is the Snowy Mountains. So it's like this combination of exotic places and people and ages of life that really is my inspiration. When I'm writing my books, I hope that it would appeal to a wide range. Now, I actually have only 2 novels published. One is Empire's Children, and that is set in the tea plantation during the time of the British Raj, which was the time when I was growing up. So it's set in that setting. And people who read it have said, adults have said, I really want to go to Sri Lanka. So it's almost like a tourism trap. And then I've had young adults and young people tell me that they loved the girl in the story, my protagonist, how she grew from this little Sri Lankan girl who was being trained to go into an arranged marriage, into this positive, confident young medical student. So they said they loved that, watching her growth during that time and her character development. So in that way, I've had young adults enjoying the book. So I don't think of a particular group of people. Rather, I think, look, if I can inspire them with something that just gives them that feeling of, this is something I would like to explore or to do myself, that is what I hope for. I like to plan my books. I think it goes back to my actual training because I'm an academic. And when we write things as academics, we have to go through stages of planning everything. I mean, that's the nature of science. I mean, I'm a medical doctor and an academic. So you plan everything. It's like reporting on a scientific project. So even in my creative writing, I have to do that. I have to plan. I have to firstly think, who are my people in it? And I spend like a couple of months just living with my people in my brain, so much so that once when I was planning to go to Sri Lanka, I accidentally thought, oh, I really should catch up with Annie. And I'm thinking, no, that's in Snowy Summer. She's not for real. So I firstly get to know my people. The second thing I do is I really plan a timeline of like just not just chapter 1, chapter 2, but what happens year by year. And then once I've done that and I've actually put it down, then I can sit down and write. So yes, if you're asking me, do I plan? Yes, I spend a lot of time planning, but even more than that, I guess immersing myself in that world, which is kind of interesting because now I'm actually writing a sort of speculative fiction, science fiction, time hopping type thing. I'm just dabbling with that. And that is really interesting, trying to immerse myself at my age, at 74, into the kind of young adult speculative fiction, time travel type thing. But hey, in lockdown, what else do you do? Interesting you should ask, because I live with my husband and my son, who's a single man, and he's a minister in the church. He lives with us as our kind of carer, although people say they're not sure who's caring for home because he loves mom's cooking. But the reality is that my son and husband are really struggling because their work is outside. My husband also retired like me. He enjoyed like being a volunteer in a trains museum and going to the retirement village. My son, being a minister, was always in church and seeing his parishioners. And I spend most of my time at my computer anyway. So like, big deal. I enjoy lockdown because it gives me more time to actually immerse myself in my writing. Who cares? I feel like I'm in lockdown all my life since retirement. So who cares? It hasn't affected me one bit. I would love to speak to young people who are thinking of creative writing and are starting off. And I would say, if for you, I would strongly encourage young people, firstly, when you're starting off writing, write on something that you are passionate about. Truly find something you're passionate about. It doesn't matter what it is. It may be that you're passionate even about a particular type of drink or something. But think, am I passionate about this? Because for me anyway, creative writing was something I had to spend a lot of time in and a lot of energy in, because I also do non-creative. I write non-fiction. And if you go to my webpage, you'll find a whole list of my non-fiction books. I write non-fiction on sexuality, education. But comes easier to me because it's fact. So for me to write creatively needed immersion in passion for what I'm writing about. So I would advise young people, when you're starting off, be passionate about what you're writing. And as to my own in my own novels, I guess what I would say is that I hope that when people read my novels, they see more than just a good story, but they actually see that the people there are people of character, people whose very essence has changed during their walk in my novel. And I hope that message, apart from the fact of exotic locations and fun things, but they learn something about character development from the books. That's what I hope.